All right, I want to welcome our listeners to No Perspective, the show that's from the people for the people. I'm Rue.
Jonathan Schmitty Rock. Don't matter what you call me as long as you listen.
Y'all could call me Ramelli. That's me.
Okay, today's topic is addiction. All right, Addiction 101. We're going to cover a lot of topics, all different kinds of addiction, but then the basis of this podcast is about drug abuse, okay? Um, I want to get into the overall view of addiction, how it's been around from mankind, since the beginning of mankind, and the different kinds of addiction. I'm going to do a little education for people. We got two different kinds. We got domestic and then we got illicit. Domestic addiction is food, exercise, gambling, things of that nature. Illicit is more so drugs, cigarettes, fire starting, stealing, things that like illegal behaviors. Okay. The different kinds of addiction is important because people have to understand what addiction is about, how it affects you, and how can you get help. Okay, so this is what this podcast is going to be about bringing attention on when you might need to know that you have an addiction, when you think if you do have one, when you think you might need to get help, when it's gotten to that point to where you cross that line. Now, for me personally, this is a personal topic, being that addiction runs in my family. It has a hereditary line on my dad's side of the family. It runs rampant. Just to be honest, I'm gonna break the anonymity as far as our family goes, because I just want to help people. I really don't care about it. You know what I mean? The people that are in my family who have had it have fought through it in a lot of different ways. My dad has like 24 years clean, and some of that plays into my story. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna give too much of the story, but I just want to let people know why this is so close to my heart and why I chose this as a topic to be able to help people and to be able to bring awareness so that people can see that me and other people have made it through different addictions, so they can understand that they can also make it through, and give them some strength and hope, and be able to to know that if I did it, you can do it. And also the warning signs of when addiction is getting bad, how it can get bad, and pretty much A to Z. We're going to try to cover how it affects you, and when you know that you may have a problem, and also cautionary tales too, so that you won't even have to go down that path need be. All right, I got a little agenda here. Excuse me. So I want to talk about this is important, okay? Because back in the beginning of time and up until maybe like around like the 1980s and 90s, they didn't consider addiction a disease, especially drug addiction, okay? But it's been proven that the reason why they consider it a disease is because it changes your brain chemistry, okay? So referring to other diseases, you're not born with COPD, you're not born with heart disease, but because you smoke cigarettes and you catch lung disease, now you've brought that disease onto yourself. Okay, that's not a disease that you're born with, because a lot of people argue the fact saying that, oh, addiction is not a disease. It is a disease. You know what I mean? And it's been proven that it's a disease, and I'm going to explain a little bit of the reason why. And also, I want people to understand the seriousness of this. That's why I'm trying to break it down. It affects your brain. It's just not a moral deficiency. It's not something that, oh, it's a habit that I can break. After you cross this invisible line, you have now changed your brain chemistry to where it's called a neurological pathway. You've created a neurological pathway that it triggers you to not be able to stop. And also when certain things happen with your emotions and feelings, it triggers you to want to cope, use this as a coping method. You've created this to be a coping method. Just like, and the reason why I brought up the food addiction is because that's what happens. A lot of people, a lot of women say, oh, I'm emotional, I get depressed. And what do? Eat. Why? Because it's a neurological pathway. We have receptors in our brain. There's a whole science that goes behind this addiction thing that's way bigger than our culture may have realized. So we take it real light when we speak about drugs and partying, and I grew up in that whole culture and that whole lifestyle, and we don't really realize how serious it is. It goes back to when they say, oh, this is your brain on drugs back in the 80s and the Reagan era, and that was their best. They had this information then, but that was the best they can do with this is your brain on drugs, dropping an egg into a frying pan. That wasn't teaching us shit. Okay, and even in health class, they're not breaking it down to you, the science of this.
Can I interject real
Yes,
quick?
please.
This is why, bro. And we talk about all this all the time. There was no relatability.
Right.
There was no relatability when it came down to somebody. We had a DARE program, and they used to bring some guy that didn't look anything like me, that I can never see myself as, come talk to us about why not to use drugs. I didn't listen to anything he said because there was no relatability.
Right.
Now, I mean, just to be a little bit like personal,
so true.
I tell you all of the time, I feel like you could be chosen to be that one to now you could be relatable because some of the things that you go through, people in our generations and our communities, when they see you, they don't see somebody that's, oh, I can't be like him. That can't happen to me.
Right.
They see relatability.
Right.
You mean a women see, oh, look at him, he cute, this, that, and the guys see like, yo, this dude thorough. And this happened to him. So now they listen a little bit more because they can relate.
Right.
That's why we always say it's so important for people that go through things to kind of set that embarrassment aside and speak. Tell us, tell me, tell everybody. So now they could see like, yo, and it gives them some relatability. So they could see this right here is not something that is just so far away from me. This can happen to me because it happened to him. And I don't see myself that much different than him. So that's why it's so important to me. And I want to thank you for even opening up and bringing this to the table because it's so important. This can help so many people and they can see that, listen, it happened to these guys. It can happen to me. So you have a story. I have a story that's related to your story. We all have different stories that's in regards to this. You mean a lot of the times I tell people, you my older brother, I looked up to you, I trusted you.
Right.
So a lot of the things you went through that I saw cause you harm, I stepped away from it.
Right.
So I tell a lot of people all of the time, yo, Rue went through that, so I didn't have to go through it.
And that's
so
what
now
I
we need
believe.
to take that and we need to open it up and not just not have it for just me. And it's not just my lesson.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Now this is everybody's lesson. So all we trying to do is break a stigmatism, and it's something that you said, and it's about prevention. I didn't have to go through it and see like, oh, I'm already on. No, I looked at your story and said, oh, well, that's just not something that I'm going to do.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because I trusted you. And I see, and it was about strength. I know that you're strong enough to where people relate drug addiction to weakness.
Right.
Like, oh, this is just a weak boy over there. And nah, I see like, yo, this boy's strong. I see you pick somebody up from the face one day. You know what I'm saying? You're strong.
Right. In more ways than one, not even just physically.
And you physically strong.
Will also.
I've never want to tell it. I've never been in a scenario. I've been all around the world with this guy. I've never been in a scenario where he wasn't the leader of men. Anywhere he goes, he was the leader in that group around anybody.
Yeah.
I've never when you would. I'm sorry for jumping ahead. You remember I was sick at this. This hurt my feelings. We got a whole lot of friends.
Yeah.
When he was, deep in his addiction to where he needed help from people. He needed just emotional help and support. So me and him used to sit there and I used to be like, yo, call some of your friends, talk to him. He would stay on an hour on the phone counseling their life. When his life is the real one that's in shame. But he's so strong to at his weakest point, he's still strong enough to give advice to another man. I was furious. Yeah.
I remember.
You remember? I almost drove where the boy was at.
Yeah, we were just taking rides and busting up. And you like, how are you
counseling these people?
Times.
So like that's what I want to say, and that's why I feel like he has a story that is amazing because it's relatable and can't nobody deny its relatability. Simple and plain. You could try as much as you want to, but you can't. This happens to everybody. Our strongest men, our father's generation, the strongest men got taken down by drugs.
Yes, and I want to jump in, and you definitely hit so many key points. If the drugs don't get you, the lifestyle will.
It's all attached.
Okay, and there's a password that can, it's called help. That's the password. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be able to ask for help at some point in time at some point, you know what I mean? And to get back on what we were saying as far as like, that's what I was trying to relate to, Rock, is as far as it's not a moral deficiency. It's not a matter of weakness of will. You know what I mean? Because I'm strong-willed, he's strong. I've seen, like you said, a lot of our men are either addicted to the lifestyle and they can't leave it alone. I know friends who I know for a fact that's addicted to the lifestyle because they get out of jail, and when they're locked up, I'm talking to them and I'm hearing them, and bro, I can't do it. When they get back on the streets, they cannot help themselves. Why? Because it's a reward center. And I want to get more into that as far as the brain thing, and then I'm going to share some of my story, and hopefully people could relate and identify with it to where it's a cautionary tale. Okay, so this is why it's a disease. All right. Diabetes. You eat bad, not type 1 diabetes, but the diabetes that you catch from eating bad through the years of bad eating. Our dad had diabetes at some point. There's a diabetes that you can reach with your blood sugar if you don't eat right. Heart disease is something that you bring onto yourself. So you haven't had a good healthy diet, and now you've brought on this disease to yourself. You smoke cigarettes, which is also, nicotine is a drug. You've brought this lung disease, COPD, onto yourself, okay? You use drugs to an extent, you use alcohol to an extent, you've brought this disease onto yourself. Just like with people who eat and then throw up, bulimia. That's an addiction. Why? Because when they throw up and they purge, it's a reward system. So this is how you get addicted. The frontal part of your brain has a reward system. It has the reasoning, okay? So when you do something enough, it releases happy chemicals. You got serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins. These are your 3 happy chemicals. When you use drugs, and even when you have sex, that's why you can be addicted to sex, because it releases those happy chemicals. All right. So when you use drugs and alcohol, you get a flood of those happy chemicals, and you feel good, right? So you want to do it again, right? And then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. You know what I mean? Making money can be that high. That was my first addiction, was women and money, before I ever got to where anywhere. But it was kind of like, and I'm going to share this one quick story. My dad, he didn't really articulate it to me, but he would always sit me down and say, watch this new Jack C. He would say, watch it. Remember, he would always say, yo, watch this. He was like, pay attention. Pay attention. He's like, this got all the tales in it right here. And if anybody that's seen New Jack City, if you haven't, and you want to be in this lifestyle, watch New Jack City, because it's so true to today. G Money. It's right in the 10 crack commandments. Never get high on your own supply. You know what I mean? You hustling backwards. You know what I mean? You starting to feel yourself. You on top of the world, and you think what don't apply to them, you know what I mean? What applies to certain people don't apply to you. You start to feel indifferent, like you special, and you're not.
I just want to say what we started calling it. Don't overestimate yourself.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
Don't overestimate yourself. Don't believe you can do this and get out of it and somebody else can't.
Because
don't
addiction
overestimate
don't
yourself.
care how much you have, how much you don't have, what's your last name, what's your dad's last name, who you are, what you come from. It does not care. Okay? It's a spiritual in nature. So, long story short, okay, it started out just like everybody else started. And it's progressive. That's what I want to also say to people, is that everybody is different. Okay? So, progressively, somebody might get addicted real fast and right away. You know, from A to Z, they're blown at a young age. They're just hooked. Why? We don't know. It's called a predisposition. Some people are predispositioned to certain things. Just like what they call it, the Irish virus. That's a drinking thing. Irish people, they drink hard. So that's literally somehow throughout the years, we pass things down.
I just want to stop real quick. I'm sorry for keep cutting you off, but
No.
you keep saying things that I don't want you to go
Jump
too far.
in.
All right. I want to explain something, because you say that drug addiction and everything is a disease. Mm-hmm. Now, I think the hardest part of that, right, is with people relate disease to uncontrollable. All right, and it's wrong. But people think that, oh, I got a disease. My family I got diabetes. So my mom has diabetes. It's in my family. It's in my blood. Right. So I'm gonna have diabetes. I don't have control over it. What I say is that is absolutely false. We all control diseases. Now, when somebody says this is a disease and it's inherited, because they understand that if your family had it, you're probably going to be in similar scenarios and lifestyles as them. Like right. You said about the Irish. So if you're Irish, you're more prone to drinking because Irish people drink. You're going to be around them.
Social and environmental.
So therefore you get them to, that's the only thing I want to put, because I don't like the whole disease thing, because I think people use that as an an excuse like I don't have no control. No,
Right.
you still have control, but what you are is you're more likely to be around these environments that make these diseases more prone.
More prevalent.
Yeah, they make
More
you're
prevalent.
more prone to these diseases because you're in these environments.
Correct.
But if you remove yourself from those environments,
Right.
that don't mean
It's just
that,
like when Pops was eating well,
Just
his
like-
diabetes went away.
Ramel, you mind if I tell your story real quick?
yeah.
Matter of fact, you tell it.
About the
I'll start it. Ramel, this is our younger brother. Ramel, he was born addicted to heroin. Straight up, it doesn't get any realer than that. He was born addicted to heroin. Mother and father, drug abusers. But Ramel, at the age of 2 years old, got removed from that environment. Right? Ramel, now you could say because his parents had these diseases, which are drug addiction, that he should be more prone to those diseases. But because his environment changed, he doesn't necessarily have those problems, and hopefully he never will have those problems because his environment changed. So that's one thing that I really want to do. Yes, it's a disease, but the disease is attached to our environments and what we're around. So don't
Correct.
think that we can't change. If you have, if my dad has I'm taking it off. He has heart disease, right? So, we already know that heart disease, diabetes is attached to what we eat.
Correct.
So now what I did is I changed everything I eat.
Correct.
I have no issues, no high blood pressure, cholesterol great because I made those decisions. So that's why I don't want it to be a crippling thing. We got to empower people too. Yes, it's a disease, but it's a disease that we can control. That's all I want to put in it.
That's a great point, and I'm so glad you put that in there because that's what I'm trying to get people to understand is that we bring these diseases onto ourselves. We bring these addictions onto ourselves, specifically drug and alcohol addiction. All the other addictions, I named them to you. You know what I mean? You can't get a gambling addiction if you're not going to the casino. You can't get a drug addiction if you don't pick it up, you don't use it. You can't get it, you know what I'm saying, an eating addiction if you don't know how to control yourself. So at some point, it starts out as a reward center. It's rewarding, so you do it again. You know what I mean? When you're young, it's attached to your feelings. A lot of people, this is a lot of stories for a lot of people, not for me in general, because I started real young and we just was wild. Like you said, we didn't really have a lot of direction with how we was partying. But a lot of people start out with alcohol helped me loosen up when they were young. I couldn't talk to girls and this, that, and the third, or I was a little awkward, or it just for anybody. Everybody knows alcohol and weed is a starter drug. That's what I call them. They starter drugs, okay? And for me, alcohol was the gateway drug. That was the first drug I used at 9. You know what I mean? So, and it was my environment. I was around older people, brothers and cousins and family members who drank and who partied and who smoked. So it got passed down. It was solely environmental, okay? So people would drink and they would get loose. Now they can talk to girls. They could do this. They more bold. You know what I mean? They feel bigger. They feel more cockier. And so that's teaching you that when I do this one activity and this behavior, it rewards me in this type of way. So your brain releases these happy chemicals. Okay. So now over the course of time, you're not realizing, but it's progressive. So these chemicals in your brain receptors can only release so many at a time. Okay, the way it was taught to me was it's like an ice cube tray. Okay, when you put water in an ice cube tray, sometimes you can fill it all the way up. But when you're using it and say you only fill up some of the ice cube tray, the water's going to flow into the other cubes. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? When you tilt it, because your head moves around. So you got enough in there to a certain point, but you keep abusing it. So it's like steroids. When a man takes steroids, testosterone, okay, his body will stop making his natural testosterone because our bodies are designed to adapt and not kill us. All right. So your liver is what processes all of that. So that's why you don't get an overflow of something, because your liver is only going to excrete some of that a little bit at a time. So if it knows that, we got a high volume of testosterone, I got to stop making it naturally. So it'll send you a signal to stop making it naturally. All right. So then when you stop taking testosterone and steroids, now you have to take estrogen, that's the female hormone, to spark back up your testosterone because your body is no longer making it. So that's what happens with addiction. You're artificially putting these chemicals into your body, so your brain stops making as much because it's waiting for you to put that drug back in to release it to make it again. So then now when you get to a certain point and now you're not using that, and you might deplete a lot of those chemicals and you don't use it, now your brain is sending you a signal saying, yo, what's going on? I need this drug to be able to spark this chemical. That's how withdrawal begins. And nobody knows when they cross that invisible line. There's not a day, there's not a time. You don't know. You just accidentally stumble across it. You see what I'm saying? So part of my story is I was addicted to the lifestyle, women, partying, selling drugs, right? And this happens to a lot of us. And you get cocky, you get ahead of yourself, and this is just my personal story, is that you party, you drink, the pills, different things. You want to feel good. You know what I mean? You want to be on top of the world, so you're chasing that high that you may have felt when you were younger, but you really need to grow up. And that goes back to feeling like, that rite of passage. Like, look, you need to grow up and stop partying. You know what I mean? But at some point, you cross that invisible line, and now you can't go back. You know what I mean? Now you need this chemical. All right, and that's when it becomes dangerous. And now, if you don't get help right away, you're going to slip deeper and deeper into addiction and not necessarily know how to get out of it. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in the lifestyle, because now you feel like, oh, maybe I could just keep selling drugs and sell enough to where I can make it. Or maybe I'll sell the drug that I'm using, which is basically part of my story, is that, not to get too much into it, to break the anonymity. But, you know what I mean? When you have something, you don't run out of it because you're selling it. So that's how you can accidentally slip. And that's just a cautionary tale. But for people who necessarily wasn't in my situation, the cautionary tale that we want to tell today is how it starts out young. And you don't get addicted to marijuana, okay? And when you're young, you're more than likely not going to get addicted to alcohol. What you get addicted to is that feeling of getting high. That's what you get addicted to, that release of the brain chemicals. So people always, I want to break the stigma, because I love weed. I used to advocate for legalizing it and all of that. But what I learned is that they were right. And they had this information. That's why I referred to the Reagan era. They had this information from back then, okay? Because when I had went and got help, they put me in this machine that they told me was 20 years old. They could study your brain. They could see what your brain, your frontal lobe lights up for. So for Jonathan, his hobbies, what he likes, they put him in the machine. They're going to say, what do you like? I like football. What's your favorite food? Steak and potatoes. What's your favorite? They're going to ask you all your favorite things, and then they're going to show you flashes of it real fast. Your brain can pick up on it that fast, probably quicker than I can snap. They showing you all this stuff, and then they show you how your brain lights up for it. When you're addicted, all your primal instincts are gone. It's drugs first. You've crossed that line. The only thing that comes before that for me, that lit up for me more, was women. But so it showed me that they had this technology back then. That egg in the frying pan was the weakest thing. They could have educated people back then. So I want to break the stigma about marijuana and explain to people that no, weed is not addictive. You don't get addicted to the weed. I love it. The THC levels now, I don't know. It's out off the chain. You know what I'm saying? I had smoked weed a few years back. It was like I smoked dust. I was stuck. Stupid, can't even talk, couldn't even dance. Girls trying to dance with me, and I feel like I was a white boy. I ain't know what to do. I'm like, what this weed done did to me? I don't got my rhythm. So, but that was a joke. But long story short is that you don't get addicted to the marijuana or the alcohol right away. You get addicted to that feeling. That's why it's so dangerous. And I don't want to, take up all the time. I want to open up a dialogue for whatever direction it's going to go in.
Yeah, I had cut you off. You wanted to just say something?
Yeah, I feel like the addiction, you feel me? People that go through addiction, I feel like, like the addiction part is bad, but I feel like it's there to help people, that's younger, that could be going through it or go through it. Personal example, like me, I started drinking, I mean, like scared, you feel me? My older brother, like Rue, started me off drinking. And, like both of y'all going through drinking, going through the addiction stage and everything. I feel like that, you feel me? That helps me as a younger man, because you feel me, instead of me getting addicted, I got Jonathan, I got you there, you feel me, to pull me aside and tell me like, yo, like you can't do that, like you feel me, that's wrong, like it's going to take you on the wrong path, and that's what happened. Instead of you, like me just letting go, getting addicted to alcohol, I had Jonathan there, I had you there to tell me like you gotta chill, like punishment, right. You feel me, everything is there. So like from people that get addicted, anything can happen. It's there for younger people, for people like you to help. And that's
So I got a question. When you first decided to have a drink, what do you feel like was the initial? Because I'm gonna tell. All right, I'm gonna lay a little story down because I gotta say it. When I first started drinking, it's because, like you said, first and foremost, pops used to drink. I used to bring my little cup up, like, yo, let me get some of the beer. You know what I mean?
used to get
Like,
some
so
in
I
the
used to
40s.
think that it was dope. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm like, all right, yo, let me get some. So I thought it was always, I couldn't wait to be able to drink. You understand what I'm saying? So that was the bad thing. So then, now I didn't want Ramel and them to live the way we want to live, to live the way that we live, because I saw how detrimental it could be. We have friends that died in car crashes from alcohol. It's so bad to where you could try to make it seem like it's okay, but because we aren't old enough to make these decisions, we don't do it responsibly. My wife, she drinks, but she ain't start drinking. She was 20, goddamn 2 years old. And
I want to jump in real quick before I forget this. I said this on one of the other podcasts. I want to say this for a reason. The reason why you can't drink till you're 21 is because the frontal lobe of your brain doesn't develop till you're 25. So that's why I want to also say that it's very dangerous to use when you're young, to start smoking and drinking very young, because it does not allow your brain to fully develop.
so my wife ain't started drinking. She was like 22, and she's the most responsible drinker I've ever seen in my life, because she understands it. She saw it. She didn't get too deep until like she couldn't make conscious decisions.
Exactly.
All right. So one day, right, I found out Mel was drinking. So I'm like, yo, like it hurt me because I didn't want you to do that. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't want you to go down the path that we went down. So I'm hot. I'm hot. So I'm mad at Mel. Right? So I'm like, yo, I'm threatening him. You know what I mean? I'm saying all kinds of things because I don't want him to do this. So later on, me and my girl was just by ourselves, right? So she said to me, she was like, yo, you telling him not to drink, but when you out having fun, all he see you doing is drinking. Man, when I say like shit, it just made too much sense. So I'm looking at her, I'm mad as hell she said this, but it was so right.
Right.
Because like I'm telling him something, but the actions, the example that I'm setting is the exact opposite of that. So what I had to do, and this goes, I'm gonna take it in. What I had to do is I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking completely because I didn't want to be a bad influence on him. And in return, I don't know if it was for that, he stopped drinking. You understand what I'm saying? We had to learn, and it was hard. It was hard when I first stopped drinking because I used to try to go around my friends, and I swear nobody ever bought me a drink in my life until I stopped drinking.
Yo, why is it like that?
Yo, nobody ever bought me
People don't
nothing.
realize how misery love company.
I'm talking about people I don't even know, but I'm just sitting at the bar. I used to try to do a little free joint. I would get like a cranberry, and I say, yo, put a lime. So, you know what I mean, it looked like I'm still drinking, so everybody don't keep, because the hardest part is, yo, what's up? You want some? You want some?
Right.
You want some? And now you like, yo.
We used to be on it like, let's get a bottle.
Yeah, exactly. And so everybody would try to get me to drink. So it was uncomfortable because I stopped drinking, I couldn't even go to places that I usually go. I couldn't even be around the people that I used to be around. So that was one of the hardest parts, but I stopped. And then it was another thing with Rue. I mean, I had like figured out that you were like, it got to the point of you couldn't control. All right. Cause I was used to you being able to control drinking, smoking weed, so on and so forth. It got to a point where you couldn't control. But one time, right, one of our cousins, you had gotten to a situation with him, and he looked at me in my face. He said, yo, you just okay with him doing this shit? And I looked at him like I almost was mad at him for saying it. Like who are you talking to like this?
Right.
But like what he said, and that's what we trying to do with this podcast too. Even though this shit hurts your feelings, still listen. Even though if it might be offensive, still listen, because I was offended when he said this. But I had to sit down and I said, you know what? Like, no, I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I got to do something. I got to do everything in my power. But the first thing, and I told you this, the first thing I had to do is I don't feel right with saying, hey, yo, stop smoking weed and I'm drinking a beer. You know what I mean? Because now if people aren't necessarily, like, I'm not going to listen to you, bro. If you just, like it was, I'm telling you to not drink, but I'm drinking. And you was like, hey, I'm doing it. But once I stopped, you seeing like, oh, this is stopped. They're like, so, I didn't give you an excuse. You got to take away that excuse.
Right.
You understand? So you couldn't say like, yo, you do what you do, and
exactly.
like, no,
That's the
stop.
first thing we do as humans is want to discredit each other and try to point out each other's flaws and make each other a hypocrite. And I also want to be clear is that this story is just to try to help people that might be struggling with one addiction or another, or might be headed in that direction and might need that wake up call. You see what I'm saying? And be able to break those chains, because this is so engraved in our society, in our culture. We don't realize the seriousness of drugs and addiction, and it's so bad to where I had to be on both sides of it to understand, because when I was on just the hustle side of it and I was just addicted to the women and the money, I didn't care who, you know what I mean, who I sold drugs to, you know? I didn't care if you was pregnant. I didn't care. I had no, because I looked at, like you said, I had that same stigma as that you weak. If you can't control it, that's your issue. You're weak and I'm strong, because I'm on the other side of it. But life has a way of making a hypocrite out of you. You see what I'm saying? And also, a lot of times we don't realize that if drugs don't get you the lifestyle, you're an addict. You see what I'm saying?
You're
it
just
goes
as
both
addicted.
ways. Exactly. It's the same thing with the addict and the, you know what I mean, the user and the distributor. Like it's one big circle of negativity. And you know, if you believe in the forces that be in negative energy and different things like that, it's spiritual in nature. That's why they call alcohol the wine and the spirits, you know what I mean? But it's not easy. Okay, that's what I'm here to say. It's not easy, and you know, I wasn't a first time winner at it. You know what I mean? And one thing I can say is that, you know, bro, I love you. You know, we talk all the time, and you know what I mean? He was one of the people that was there for me through in and out all of it. You know, I kind of went through like 3 phases. You know, the first phase is going to be the denial phase. That's the first phase of like, nah, I'm good. I can stop.
Can I say why this phase was so hard for my brother Rue? You know what I mean? And like I said, man, you could jump in whenever you want. This phase is so hard, and I watched it, and it's the most frustrating thing ever. And it goes into what I said. Like, he is believable. Even when you were at your weakest, you're still the strongest person in the room. Can't nobody tell. I had people like my feelings used to be so hurt, right? Because we lived together. So like, I knew, you can't tell me what I see. Yeah. I know what's going on. People would say, like, if I would say it, they like, yo, you lying. You just hating on him. People used to say like, yo, you hating on him. What you trying to get him out? This, that. Like, I'm looking like, ooh, they'll hit me. I feel like I got shot.
Like, what?
Ooh,
My brother.
Like, my bro, I'm lying on him? Like, come on. But that's because the way that you're able to carry yourself and the way that you talk, even in your worst moments, is still the smartest shit people hear.
And we have to be true to ourselves, because that's a good point. I started to come to a few of my friends, and we would be like out. You know, you start drinking, you get like in your sensitive bag, whatever. And I was like, I remember a few times when I tried to open up to a few of my friends, like, bro, man, like, I can't do this no more. I'm trying to change. A lot of people may have heard me wanting to get out of the lifestyle who was close to me. They knew that something in my spirit wasn't right. And I'm not going to take this too far into the spiritual realm. You know what I mean? Because I'm not religious, but I am very spiritual, and I do have a higher power but my whole understanding of that's another podcast, right? But you have to have that higher power to be able to beat this thing, okay? But I would open up to people, and they be like, man, you good. Yo, he's bugging. Like, yo, give us 2 more shots, man. Like, you know, crazy. Like, yo, man, you tripping. Like, they did not believe that. I'm like, bro, like, I got a problem. Like,
but that's why I tell you, you're special, because people couldn't see it with their eyes. So that's what I'm saying. People's eyes it didn't match up with what you were saying to them, because they have a stigmatism of what drug addiction is. Right. So they looking at you like,
yeah, the stigma is like dirty needles, bums,
exactly,
different things like that. But trust me, if you don't stop, this is a warning, a PSA. Trust me, everything, all the nevers and the things that you say that you wouldn't do and won't go through, if you don't stop and get help, trust me, you will hit a bottom that you've never ever seen. You know what I mean? So let's be clear about that. Yeah. But so the phases, okay? So that phase, the denial phase, wasn't just me in denial; it was everybody around me. You know what I mean? And only reason I can't lie to him is
kept you more in denial.
What kept me more in denial.
Everybody, him being able to like make everybody else believe something that wasn't true keeps him in more denial, because now he can look and rationalize with himself like, maybe I'm not that bad. You understand?
Right, and that's what happens with us. You see what I'm saying? Because people don't want that for you. They don't want the worst for you, even if it's an eating disorder. Like, sometimes you got to be honest with somebody. If you see that they are eating and or they're skinny and they're throwing up and things like that. We have to be the ones around them to try to bring it to them, and then also they have to receive it. But sometimes you'll be surprised. They might isolate, but you might have to be that person to say to them, look, man, I think you have a problem. We have to be more open, especially in our culture, because we perpetuate this drug lifestyle like it's nothing. They, you know what I mean? Got songs, Miley Percocet. When I first heard that song, man, I cringed. Like, it's so many, like, with this and I love certain rappers. I'm not gonna say their names, but to for you to be addicted yourself and then to still rap about drugs, to me, is a sin. And I don't respect you. You see what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of rappers that you can do they math, do their homework, Google them, and you'll see that they've struggled with this. Why? Because they had it at access. And they thought they was different just like I thought I was different, and they done slipped up and crossed that line. And yeah, you could bounce back when you take the proper steps. So, but they still perpetuate it. Why? Because it's money involved. In our culture, the society don't want us to win.
Oh, I'm trying not to go this way, but I'm gonna try to make it quick.
We got some time.
You said it's money involved.
It's money involved.
It's money involved. I want to ask anybody, who makes the most money off of the drug, the just drug selling, drug everything.
Government.
The government. There's industries. This whole thing that we perpetuate, and then people see why is the ones that are saying the Miley Percocets and the ones that are perpetuating all that negative, why are they getting pushed the most? Mm-hmm. Because there's somebody that's behind that that probably owns stock in in jail industries, a healthcare industry. Right. So they want you to push the Percocets because they own stock in the Percocet company that makes it.
Not even Percocet. Let's be clear. Rehabs, places of the hospitals in general, people that come in there off emergency room visits, different types of hospitals.
That's what I was getting into.
The healthcare industry, period.
This whole thing, the drug scenario that we are in and that we are kept in, is kind of the drug epidemic that we're not necessarily allowed to be in, that, but they're trying to keep us in. I'm going to say that. Mm-hmm. They're trying to keep us in. Police, judges, lawyers, jails, COs, the drug industries, like you said, hospitals, all of this. Literally, we control so many industries. Say if we get together as a collective, and say if we can't get everybody, and we stop 50% of the drug selling and drug abuse in our communities, do you know how many people we put out of work?
Right. And
don't nobody want you to stop. So
it's a money machine.
It's cool, but they don't want you to stop. They keep going because you're making me rich.
Right.
Keep saying that, young boy, and getting all these other young kids high and shit off of all these dumbass drugs because you're making me rich.
And it's not a lifestyle.
I'm sick of making people rich. Yeah. And I'm gonna go into another way. And I feel like the real reason that they want to kind of perpetuate, that they want to promote drug use. They want to make it your decision. So right now it's like it's not like nobody's forcing us to use these drugs. But what they did is they made these things accessible in our communities, right? So now we make bad decisions because we don't have guidance. So now it's my choice that I use these drugs. So you didn't make me do it, but you made it readily accessible. Right. But so now, it allows you to feel guilt-free, or whoever these industries are to feel guilt-free because they didn't make me do it. They didn't make me do it, but it's there. And this is what I feel like it does. This is why I hate it till this day. I tell you this all of the time. I feel like these guys, let's take my pops in them era. My pops in them spent all of their era, all of his friends, they cool now, but all of them spent at least 20 years of their life dealing with drug addiction in some way, shape, or form. All right. So if you're allowed to be in a scenario to where you're engulfed in all of this negativity, how can you even build? How can you be a leader? I feel like this is done to keep our leadership down.
Obviously. I mean, if you go back to the whole homework of the Black Panther Party and the whole Oliver North and the real Rick Ross, and do your homework on how they brung drugs in to break apart the Black Panther Party, we discussed that also. And I've been in jails, I've been in institutions. Some of our strongest, intelligent, most articulate men in our culture, black men, are locked up behind drugs one way or another, either the lifestyle or the addiction or both, or shooting. Because let's be honest, I got a lot of instances to where I could have easily been locked up for life behind being under the influence and doing something crazy, shooting and things that I'm not proud of as far as fighting and different things like that. It could have easily been any which one of us. And I have some friends and family who have went down that path because of, and we don't give it enough credit. You know what I mean? We really don't give drugs and alcohol enough credit of how it really affects and cripples us as a society. And it doesn't apply to everybody. I'm only speaking my story and the way that I can help. Other people, they can help in other ways, and I'm trying to grow in those ways, but this is a very important topic that we have to make, and like I said, I love the lifestyle. I'm not passing judgment, but if you can transition, please do.
10 out of the 10 of the last people that I know that got locked up for shooting was either drunk or high.
That's what I'm saying.
10 out of the 10. So now, I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is that, don't it affect your decision making?
Yes.
Don't it affect your decision making? So you drunk or high, and that's in every all our communities. The people that be doing these crimes, they be drunk and high. You're not even thinking straight. Mm-hmm. Why would you make a decision for the rest of your life when you're not even in control of your mind because the drugs is clouding your thoughts?
Right.
All right. So basically, that's what I want to say. And I always tell these guys, man, like what I hate. And I don't care. I'm gonna do anything in my power to stop it. I don't care if it helps 6 people. What I don't want to do is I don't want to keep living in this space to where it's fun. I asked you a question the other day. I said, yo, why do you think it is that the most popular guys that are in high school end up with having some of the worst lives? Mm-hmm. And we just sat there and we couldn't figure it out. But I said because I want to know, is it a coincidence that the most popular, those are the ones that are in the parties, drinking with the girls, we get preoccupied with all of these vices. Mm-hmm. We get preoccupied with all of these vices. And usually when somebody is popular in school, they're not popular for any reason other than their aura, their leadership. I mean, people like to be around them. Mm-hmm. That's those leadership qualities. Those right there, they cannot be learned or implemented. So you understand what I'm saying? So we are the guys that are the most popular. If we end up not allowing all of these vices to overtake our lives, and now we become learned and we start understanding each other, understanding unity. Now we would be the ones to lead the community, and then we would end up and coincide, we would gather with the most smart guys, and now we helping us help everybody else. But you need leaders in life. Mm-hmm. But because of this drug epidemic, the thing that I hate about it the most is all of our leaders have vices to where they don't have enough time, energy, or effort to lead because they're just trying to deal with their vice. That has been put that they chose, and that's what I hate about it. And it's so psychological. You chose that, right? So now whose fault is it?
That's why I want to hit on some points, right? You was talking about Pop's friends real quick, okay? Mm-hmm. As far as with how they struggle with it, and they couldn't necessarily pass it down quick enough. But we're in the age of the information age, so we're blessed enough to be able to have podcasts like this, to be able to have the internet, to be able to try to fix this, like Mel, like you said. To be able to show you now to where we made it aware to you and we explained it to you in a way to where you could understand why it's bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not just telling you and then I'm doing something different, or I'm just telling you and you're not understanding really why because of all these different vices. And I want to get on this topic, okay? You got to find new ways to have fun. Drinking and smoking is not the only way to have fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm a product of it. You know what I mean? It goes back to our first podcast. As far as the Adam and Eve thing.
Can I get him real quick?
Please.
Because I think that he has a talent. Ramel doesn't need nothing to have fun. Can you tell us one story? You told me about a story. You went to a party with all of these girls and they was all smoking and you was just sitting there. Just tell that quick story.
Yeah. Well, finding new ways to have fun, man. The drugs and the alcohol is really not doing it. You could be you could be as drunk as you want. You could be as high as you want. You could be at a party with 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, when you're drunk and you're high, you're just like you're not yourself. You feel me? And their idea of having fun is when you're high. Oh, I'm recording myself. I'm high. I'm on. See, it's lit. I'm on Snapchat. When you drunk, people is recording you. You doing weird stuff. But at the end of the day, you're not doing anything. You feel me? My idea of having fun is meeting new people. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Interacting, talking, communicating. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Talking, talking about stuff. You feel me? Meeting somebody in the future. It's not. it's not
Yo,
in
how
the moment.
How Mel like to meet people. He just do a handstand and start walking, and then people start talking to him. Dead serious.
Now
And
the
people
one
like,
day
hey
we
man,
was outside, he did it like one of them little flips, little parquet flip,
Yep.
and all these girls was just like, "Oh my god, check you out!"
Yeah. And now he just starts talking. Yeah, like you understand, but he had the privilege.
There,
That's what I'm saying. He had the privilege, but because we didn't try, we
didn't
tried our
pass it
best to
down,
not
right.
pass this stigma that we had. We didn't try to pass it down to him. So what he had to figure out, he figured out how to enjoy his own self. And so not be so drowned out with all of this other stuff to where you only can have fun with. I'm gonna tell you the truth. This is the God's honest truth. When I was younger, I started drinking at a really young age. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, drinking used to give me confidence with talking to girls, right? So then as I got older, right, and I ain't drinking all the time. When I was like, yo, like I'm really low key scared of girls when I'm not drunk. So then like it kind of what it did is it weakened me.
Right.
It weakened me because I depended on it to give me power. It
stunted
my growth. Exactly.
This is a true thing.
It stunted my growth. So now I'm looking like, so then I had to readjust. So, but he didn't have that stigmatism, so he didn't have to. He figured himself out. He learned how to be himself, have fun, and enjoy life.
And that's my point, Mel. And you know, with your generation and even younger generations, and with everybody, you know, we got to find ways to be able to enjoy ourselves and learn ourselves without having to use this to cope with or use this to as a have fun thing. Like you said, they advertise it in a type of way to where you see it everywhere. It comes along with fun. So you feel like you can't have one without the other. But that's not true. You can have fun. And like I was saying about the perspective is it's your idea of it. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, it was a paradise. Only thing that changed was that they knew the truth and now they became ashamed. It was still the same paradise. It's the same party. If you go drunk or high, it's the same girls. Exactly. It's the same music. Exactly. It's the same everything. Same dance floor, same clubs, same lights. It's just that you're drunk or you could be sober and having fun. And like you said, you just got to learn how to get that confidence. And maybe we need to have a podcast for that as far as building confidence in, you know, younger teens.
Yeah.
And both even, men and women.
Or even this is what I'm trying to say. All of the things that are like given to us or made accessible are that. We used to talk. I'm not even gonna give it away, but every club you go to, they sell liquor. Mm-hmm. So what's up? Is there anywhere we could go to have fun without that? I gotta go to Sky Zone and hit little kids in the head with the ball. I'm having fun at Sky Zone here, all little white kids in the head, seeing they bang feather your hair with this ball in Sky Zone. But this is what I had to learn how to do as a grown man. I gotta learn how to have fun doing other things because all of the stuff that was made to me as fun, it comes with that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It comes with that. I was in and it's not just it's now what happened, and this is one thing I want to say. Now what happened? This shit is everywhere. I was in a strip club one time, right? You mean that's why I'm gonna tell the story. I'm in a strip club. You know what I mean? I was about to get married. We go to my boys take me. We in the strip club, so we all having fun. I'm sitting there. I'm sitting by the bar, and like you said, I like to talk to people. So I'm just sitting there, I'm talking. This white guy comes to me like, hey man, like I'm looking for a girl to have a dance with. Who should I dance with? I'm just like, yo, she nice right there. You feel me? Right. And he like, nah, man. He was mad weird. This is where I should have stepped away from the conversation, but just trying to be friendly. He was like, nah, man, she has too much ass. I like to get straight in there. I said, what the fuck are you talking about, my guy? He said she has too much ass, man. I like to get straight in there. I said, all right. Man. And then he like, then he
not
hit me
working with much.
Yeah, he hit me with this, bro. He said, yeah, man, you party a lot, man. Right. But I'm thinking, yeah, hell yeah, I party all the time. Right. He like, come on, man, let's go. So he walked into the bathroom. For some reason, I'm following him because we was having good conversations. Yeah. This like a new friend I got. Yeah. So I'm following him. I go into the bathroom. He like, all right, man, come on. He pulled out some tinfoil, broke it open. It was Coke. I said, man, get this shit out of my. He was talking. I didn't speak that lingo.
You didn't speak that lingo to be like
partying is that Coke shit.
Like
yeah, man. Right. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'm partying. I'm turned up. He was talking about full Coke. So this it's not just like I would say, it's not just like our culture This is a culture that's widespread. But what happens to our culture that is stigmatized and now it's made to where they can make money off of us. It's all about money.
Right.
You mean just if we could go back in the day, slaves were free, police was made to control the slave.
Right.
That's really just a
Willie
fact.
Lynch.
So now once they figured out that because we were a sense of money. People made money off of us. So once we got out of there, they had to figure out new ways to monetize it. And this is what I feel like it is. This is a part of it.
Yeah.
Here, go do this.
Let's
make
be
it
clear.
a
It's not just our culture. Everybody knows it's worldwide spread.
Because
all
right now the
Addiction
number one user of drugs is middle-aged white women.
Right.
Why isn't there no kicking down the doors in their neighborhoods? Why isn't there no now you see it on the thing. There's if you have an addiction problem, call blue. I ain't see that shit with the crack era.
Right. Not at all.
Straight like that. They locked all of my pops and them friends up.
Yeah.
Them dudes was in jail.
Yeah.
So now they was in jail.
They had a lot of different laws back then. We're not gonna get into that. That's a whole nother.
I know, but
right,
I'm just showing that the drugs.
Now they want to decriminalize it because it's spreading outside of the target area
because it's not targeting us no more. That's why they decriminalize it, because this is not meant for you guys over there. So y'all ain't doing nothing wrong. The target is us. They don't want this. This is what I'm gonna say. If you would ask me, real like, yo, why do you think that the drugs and everything is perpetuated, and this is what they do to our community? This is what is promoted. What I'm gonna tell you is, and we don't got to take this further. I feel like they understand, whoever you want to say they are. I don't care. I'm just talking about whoever is making these rules. I don't know who it is. Whoever is allowing this. All right. They do not want us to unify. Unifying is one of the things, because like I just said earlier, yo, if we all unify right now and we get 50% of our culture to stop doing this, do you know how many industries go out of business?
Right.
So that's why unifying is so scary, because if we unify, we can directly affect their bottom line.
Right.
So that's why they don't want us to unify. And one of the main ways to not get us to unify is to anybody that has a possibility of leading, give them a stigmatism.
Right.
Give them a drug addiction, something. Now they addicted to women. They got all of these, anything. Give them something will slow them up.
Right.
Stop. All I want to say is to everybody out there, especially all my young men, stop slowing yourself up. I need y'all to lead me one day. Yeah. Straight like that, bro.
Take the torch.
Yeah, speaking of unification, I feel like the younger generations, like with your generation, I feel like y'all pass it down. I don't know if it's getting off topic, but I feel like y'all passing down information to the younger generation is like really beneficial, because you see the rappers nowadays, you feel me? They talk about different drugs, Molly and Percocets, and it really affects the world with young people doing Molly and Percocets. So imagine if people with that voice would talk about something positive. You feel me? If they really have,
I want to be clear real quick, right?
That I feel like that would affect.
Definitely, and not to cut you off, right? But I want to be clear as far as all the different kinds of drugs. It really don't matter what kind of drug, but I want to let people know that scissor, the lean, the court, that purple, the drink, that shit is made from opium. Okay, heroin, Percocets, all of that is made from opium. It comes from the poppy plant. Let's be clear. All of these drugs been around forever. They know these drugs. They just synthesize them and put them into different things. So be careful with what you do and what you experiment with.
Can I say it?
Yeah.
The shit is all heroin, yeah.
Right, basically.
God damn it.
Basically.
You call
morphine,
it's perks. So
it's really
imagine, I want to know.
It's really different forms of morphine.
No, and that's what I want to say. I want to know if somebody would tell you back in the day, like, heroin, then shooting heroin, you're going to be looking like, niggas talk about Percocet, this shit is heroin.
Right.
I told one of y'all friends that, I'm like, yo, you know this shit is like heroin, right?
Yeah.
He's like, what? Opium. He's like, I don't even know what I'm singing. No, you don't know what you're singing. And they're allowed to put, and this is what you say, them rappers and everything, they allowed to say that. Right? The dude that sing that song, he say he don't even do drugs. I don't know if he's telling the truth, but if you don't do drugs and you perpetuating doing drugs, you working for somebody.
Basically.
You working for somebody, because why are you saying that?
It's like, and I'm gonna say somebody's name because I love the guy.
I don't talk about shit I don't do.
Word.
When the last time you spoke about something you don't do?
When
the last time you promoted?
I
want to know that. When the last time you promoted something you don't do? I need to know. Everybody asks themselves that. So we got to ask ourselves, why is he promoting that? Because there's somebody at the top of his company this is what we want pushed. Right. This is what we want pushed. And I'm telling you, if we want to know motive, because they probably own stocks in all of these industries that end up making money off of this, off of drug addiction.
Or that too. And just to see our downfall. It's more of just a downfall thing. They don't want to let us certain people catch up. They want to even when other immigrants came over here, it's a race. It's a race. The people who felt like they were pilgrims when they were here, if y'all ever seen Gangs in New York, the Irish and the other immigrants that came over here, they wanted to suppress them. Then we were in slavery, so we're suppressed 4 years. So it's like a race, okay? They want to keep their people going straight. They want to send us off into the woods. They know if they can get us distracted, we ain't going to be able to catch. And when we do get back on track, the ones we already going to be disenfranchised. Now we got to try to play catch up, and it's just it gets us all types of messed up. You know what I mean? But I want to say one quick thing, okay? I love Gucci Mane. That's my guy, okay? He was addicted to lean. Went away to jail. He's back. He's clean now. He has one song that he addresses it when he says he kind of went in a positive way. All right, when he says about the addiction and whatever. But he still has songs to where he's promoting drink and and lean and stuff like that. If you know that you got addicted to that, why are you doing that? And Gucci, if you ever see this, I got love for you, bro, but I don't agree with that one thing. You know what I'm saying? I mess with you hard. Meek has a video on YouTube. You can Google it that says he got addicted to the pills. Right, and he be like, bro, this ain't us, this and the third. And now he's not. He said it. He said, but I'll still rap about it though, because it's the money. It's how they make. It's what they got to put out. You see what I'm saying? You see the evilness in that? Look at, we lost Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Rick James, Prince was found with Suboxone and stuff in his system when he died. Like, do I got to go down the list of people? You see what I'm saying? That it's affecting and getting us up out of it. And other people too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, not just necessarily in our culture, okay? But I want to say this, right? It's big. It's a lot. But I want to say this in closing. The reason why you need to ask for help, and only you can know if you need help. You have to make that admission. That's step one. And there's only a few ways to really do it. You cannot will yourself to get help. And I was talking about the phases, and we pretty much, I know we running out of time, but he was there for all three of my phases, right? Mm-hmm. But until I was willing to say, bro, I need you to help me, you know what I'm saying? And he actually took me to the hospital and sat with me. You see what I'm saying? And figured out what my next step was in order to really get help. Only you know if you need help. You see, and I'm not embarrassed to say this. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to really help somebody. I don't care. I'm strong. And I feel like I went through it for a reason, as a testimony to give back. You know what I mean? Only you know if you need help. And not just in a drug addiction way, any type of addiction. You have to be the one to take that inventory, self-assess, and make that admission to say, I need help. I have to do something, okay? And then from that point on, then you can take different avenues. There's a lot of different avenues, all right? But the reason why you need help is because when you first started using, somebody had to show you how to roll the blunt. Somebody had to show you how to drink shots, you know what I mean? Like that Kendrick Lamar song, you know what I mean? Like, I used to just drink, then somebody showed me that swimming pool song, you know what I mean? Like, somebody showed you how to get turned up, all right? So somebody has to show you how to stop. It's just how it goes. You can't do it on your own. You have to be able to take direction, okay? Somebody showed you how to start using, just like you said, Pops was showing us, she was drinking it, in turn, we wanted to get that. Somebody has to show you how to stop, and you have to take direction, and that's with anything. And that's really what I wanted to say to help anybody.
And what I would like to say from somebody's perspective that has a loved one that's going through it, what I feel like is most important is, like you said, the first step is denial, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So what we have to do as family members is we have to don't allow them to lie to us, because what happens with people is they believe. They're allowed to believe their own lies.
Self-deception.
So therefore, they don't have to live their truth. Mm-hmm. So it hurts. It's so bad. Like, we had so many scenarios to where me and him were nose to nose, nose to nose, and I didn't necessarily care about what was going to happen. But I had to make him understand that he can't lie to me. Mm-hmm. So therefore, because like you said, if you don't have anybody to do that for you, your next process won't start.
It's going to be a police officer. It's going to be a doctor. You're going to be locked. You know what I mean? It's going to be something else.
So as family members, we have to be the ones to, speak to them. Don't be afraid to have them uncomfortable conversations. Mm-hmm. It's the most, I'm going to tell everybody now, it's the most uncomfortable conversations ever. but you cannot be afraid to have it because they're most important for the health of your family members.
Parent and child, husband and wife.
Exactly. So what's the next step? Say that. You said the first one is denial. Then what?
Okay, well, the steps is different.
Not the steps. I mean the
phases.
The phases.
Okay. All right. So the first phase is denial. All right. Then you start to be like, all right, I have a problem. But then that next phase is that I'm gonna try to figure it out on my own. Okay. Self-will kicks in, which is normal for humans.
And I was just gonna say signs too, like don't ignore signs. You feel me, of addiction. You feel me, like personal example. I was talking to Jay yesterday. Like I didn't have no plan on telling him nothing, but it's always signs there. You feel me? I had to sit down 12 o'clock at night. He asked me why I'm. You feel me? Like what am I doing? So I feel like you should pay attention to signs and never, you feel me, ignore signs before anything bad does happen, because it's always something.
The
there
reason
to
why
let you know.
what you said, I agree with you, Mel. The reason why what you said is important is because when the person has, after they've crossed that line, the invisible line, their frontal lobe is compromised. They're in a state of self-deception. So they're not seeing the signs anymore. Somebody has to tell them. Whether it be them get locked up, their wife leave them, you're past the point of reasoning the right way. You see what I'm saying? Now it's over. It's done. You're not the same person. Your brain has been compromised. So now it goes from denial to self-will. Like, all right, I'm gonna stop doing this, but I'll still drink. You start trying to rob Peter to pay. You start compromising, trying to compromise. There's no compromise. Like, I'll just sell drugs, but I won't use them.
This is what I used to say to you a whole lot. All right, I used to tell him, like, listen. Stop overestimating yourself. Please stop. And that's one of the parts. Like you said, you feel like I can do it. I can control it. We have an uncle right now that he feels like he can control it. He can get out of it himself. He is absolutely overestimating himself. He thinks that this is something that he can completely break and beat on his own. It's not the truth. Stop overestimating yourself. Do not be afraid to get help. Talk to people.
Because to give you some of the signs, and not to indulge some of his information, but he's had a lot of signs. I'm talking about a lot of signs to where somebody would know, like, yo, and he can't see it because, and I had signs too. You see what I'm saying? For one, being up a lot of money and like blowing it. You see what I'm saying? So like, if that can't stop you, money come first when you a hustler. But if you get to the point to where money's not it's just you're past the point of reasoning. So somebody has to be able to tell you that. That's what you made a great point of bringing that to the. So then the last phase, after you go through the denial and then the self-compromise and trying to do it your way, hopefully you can get to this point of actually really wanting help. And it might not happen the first time, but you have to make that admission for yourself. You have to want it, because this is not for people that need it. If this was for people that need it, everybody would be getting help. It's for people that want it. You see what I'm saying? You have to want it at some level or not. And hopefully something tragic doesn't happen to you, because we've lost a lot of people, and a lot of drugs have every time something bad in my life has happened, it's been behind drugs for the most part. Either losing somebody, me getting locked up because I'm selling drugs, different types of things, losing people dying, ODs, car wrecks, shootouts. I could go down the list. Really, literally, it's a nightmare.
And like he was saying, the step from denial to what's the phase after that?
Compromise. You start trying to be like,
denial, compromise, and then what?
Admitting you need help.
All right. So I think that we as family members, friends, brothers, cousins, we're so important to transition them from that denial to that wanting to get help. And because they're not, if you allow them to try to do it by themselves, their brain is so chemically imbalanced that they don't, like he said, they don't think right. It's just no way that you can think the same. And then one thing, I know this, they always make their situation completely different. Like, you don't know what it's like. And I mean, even if somebody that's
feeling of indifference.
Exactly. Like, nah, this is different with me. You don't know what it's like. So they make it hard to relate, but you got to fight through that. And then one thing that I did, and I did it to you, I'm just saying, I mean, because you my man and I want to help other people.
Yeah,
you know
yeah. I look, bro.
One thing that I did is I knew what Rue loved more than that. I knew. Now, with his scenario, it was still foggy and it might have got clouded, but I knew what he loved more than that. So I'm going to tell you what I did to where I felt like I saw it in his face, and it was a small turning point. Now, it's not one turning point. It's many turning points, but this was one to where he looked at me and it was a point of time where then he knew what I was doing. And at first he didn't, but what I made him do, and I didn't wasn't only attacking you. We did it together. I made him sit down because this is something that I was thinking about anyway. So it wasn't necessarily only because of the scenario, but I used it
I know exactly
help.
what you about to say.
I said, yo, Rue, you going through all of this, and I don't know what the future is going to bring. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and we're going to write a video diary to our children just in case we're gone. So then we sat down. I sat down and I did I did the introduction to Avery. You sat down, you did the introduction to your kids, and we started, and I made you talk to your kids as if you were leaving. And I saw in your face, because I know you love your kids more than you love your addiction. So I saw it in your face, and what it did for you, it makes you look like, oh shit, like this can be a reality.
Right.
And it starts to help you work through that and start to put the love for your kids before the drug. Right. And I think I want to tell a quick story about Pops. I remember the day that Pops transitioned. Pops went through something with Mom. They were arguing and fighting. Mom locked herself in the car. He wouldn't get out. I remember the lady that lived next door to us, and she like came over the house and picked me up. And this is why I think she scarred me for the rest of my life. Because after this, I ain't like white women, because she smelled like cold cuts, my nigga. And I just was sitting there. She was carrying me, and all I smell is cold cuts. It was horrible. And I was like 3, and I remember this. I was like 3 or 4. So they got into an issue, but the issue was Pops was using drugs. Mom made him, listen, if you gonna do that, you ain't gonna be able to see kids. You gotta go. Simple and plain.
And she came and took the white Mercedes from the courts.
Yeah.
Right? Because Pops used to be a hustler too, and it's pretty much, my story is a mirror image to his story. You start hustling, and you start getting high for your own supply. So she took the car, and now he's like, I don't have no more means. So he punched out the window and was trying to fight with her. I get out and I'm trying to fight Pops up, and he saw in our eyes, after he seen Jonathan and he seen me, he just it just was like that moment of clarity where he broke down. And like the next week, he went and got help.
And I remember dropping him off, and we dropped him off at the hospital, and we just sitting and we driving away, and he was upset, crying. We didn't know what was happening, and we drop him off, and he just walked into the hospital, and I'm looking out the back window, looking at him walking away like a movie and shit. You know what I'm saying? With the sad face. But then after that, I had a different father from that day. He wasn't like he was.
Right.
So at some point, he had to figure out. He had to put a crossroad in between these two things that I love. Which one is more important? And then he had to make the decision. You understand what I'm saying? It might be different for everybody. That might be different. It might be yourself. You might love your life more than that, and that's what you got to do. But as family members,
everybody is different.
What we have to do is we have to be creative. We can't, and this is what I want to say. We can't allow our emotions and our selfishness to get in the way of us helping a loved one, because we get so emotional and mad at them. I was mad. I was mad. I was angry because I didn't understand. I couldn't see it. It didn't make sense to me. So I was upset, but I couldn't allow my anger to get in the way and allow me to be selfish. Like, what the fuck? Nah, I'm not going to be selfish. I don't care what it takes. This is what I'm going to do to try to figure it out. And we slowly but surely, it never was perfect. There's no one fix.
Yeah, there's no one fix.
It's going to be, and it's
everybody's process is their process.
And it's going to be, sometimes it's going to feel, one of the things that I know that it feels sometimes when we're trying to help, and basically what I want to do right now, I'm empowering all of my friends, all of the friends and family of the loved ones that have addiction issues. I'm trying to empower you guys. You're gonna feel failure. That's what it feels like, because you're gonna feel like the talk that you just had with him is the most beautiful shit that you ever said. Everything makes sense. And then like the day later, you're gonna see him and you're gonna be like, yo, this motherfucker is doing this shit again. So it's gonna feel like failure. So what that failure would do is sometimes it'll make you like, I ain't helping.
It's funny, we give it two different perspectives, right? Because this the thing. You can be prayed over, counseled, beaten, jailed, reasoned with, bribed, and you won't stop. You know what I'm saying? Because you're past the point you need help. You know what I'm saying? And it makes so much sense what you said as far as like feeling like failure. Like, yo, I just had the best talk. We feel like you made 10 steps forward, and this thing doing. And I go through it now because I counsel people and I talk to people, but I know how more so to relate. You know what I mean? Because I can see where they're at, and that's why the ultimate weapon to somebody else that's in addiction is another person that's been through your addiction. That's why it's the ultimate weapon, because you can identify with that person and they know exactly how to help you get out of that hole. You see what I'm saying? It's like you fell into a hole. And all these things are cliche things. You know what I mean? That people say, like, you fell into a hole. But I've been in that hole before. So I can tell you how to get out of the hole. I can help you get out. I can jump down in there with you and we can get out together. That's why somebody who's been through it can be more helping. Like, he's helping. He's talking to all the people that are helping the people that are struggling with it. I'm talking to all the people who have been through it and want to fight back and make a change. You talking to all the people that's your generation that's showing them we can have fun we don't have to get turned up and lit in order to have fun. Don't associate that with that, because it could happen to anybody. And after you cross that path, there's no coming back.
Yeah, bro. Yo, listen, I want to thank you for sharing, man. I think it's real powerful. Guys, thank you for listening. Man. Mel, thank you for giving us your perspective. You know what I mean? I know it's your first time on it, so you got to get used to your voice and hearing it. But we're going to have you back on because we want to hear more from you, because I feel like you got a story that can help everybody. You understand what I'm saying? I used to tell you that when you was younger. I feel like your story, you the poster child. You understand what I'm saying? So you gotta you can't be afraid to share your story some too. And you gotta use him. He's telling a story that it could be perceived as embarrassing, but it's not embarrassing because he knows the power of it and he knows how many people he can help. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we got to get out of the selfish phase to where, like, I'm not going to tell it. And that's what I used to, that's the stigmatism that this whole show is about breaking, because we got to help each other. Right. Yeah, I don't only want to help you. I want to help everybody that can hear me. Yeah. So that's why it's most important for everybody, guys. Share us, like us, let everybody hear it. We are not doing this for any selfish reason. We just want to help people. We want people to not have to go through the things we went through because they listen to this show. That is the goal. Right. That is the goal, and as simple as that. So as long as that we're doing that, I don't care if we reach one person, 2 people, or 1,000 people. As long as we reach someone, guys, thank you for listening.
Yeah, and I want to say something real quick. I don't want to come off. We're not coming off like we're trying to be self-righteous. You know what I mean? Like, we really do have a calling in our life and in our heart to want to try to help people. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to all the other podcasts, but like, we're trying to create our lane to where we're really trying to make this to where this is timeless. This is information that we want to be able to give back. What we went through, we lived through, is a miracle. And we got more information and perspectives and, stories to come that are life lessons, to where I feel like God made me go through all of this in order to help. There's no way that I went through everything that I went through and not be able to give back and help people.
I'm sorry. I want to say because it's all little points that we used to talk about that I feel like I used to see it in your face and it used to light up. Mm-hmm. All right. And I remember, and that's what I want to give them back. And you just made me remember this part. We were talking and we would have long ass talks. Like, we would just be talking and I would make you talk. Mm-hmm. Like, I would make you listen because I knew that, like, you knew how to finagle. You a talker. You understand what I'm saying? You know how to talk. Right. So I had to get through all that, make you talk long enough to where you talk yourself down into a little valley to where now, like, man, now what? You know what I'm saying? So one thing that I told you, and it made your face, I would just like look at your face, and it was like you was looking like, I said, yo, like, listen, this isn't your story. This isn't your book. Yeah. This is only a chapter. Mm-hmm. Now, what you have to do is you have to allow yourself to get out of this so you can write the rest of your book.
Yeah, turn the page, exactly.
This is the book of Ruth. This is the book of Ryan.
And everybody has their own book. With somebody who knows all my faces, because I can't lie to this guy.
You ain't lying to me. You know what I'm saying? It used to make me so mad when he used to talk to these dudes and they would sit there. He counseled a dude for 2 hours when he was at one of his worst points. And I'm looking around. I'm telling you, I got in the car and I went to look for him. I was going to wring his neck, yo. That's how mad I was. But I had to, that's because it was related to failure. I felt like I told him, like, yo, call your boys. You mean, I didn't want me to be the only one saying this. Right. So I was hoping that somebody else that knows him and knew him forever could say some of these things to him. They couldn't say nothing to him. Yeah. They couldn't say nothing to him.
And I'm talking about withdrawal. I'm talking about past the point of return where your body, you chemically addicted.
He's counseling a man's life.
I'm withdrawing, and I'm looking, and I'm coming to him to counsel so I can get outside myself and be able to try to get through one more day and I couldn't get no help the right way. But I knew I found where to get my help at, and I'm glad that my brother was there to catalyst me. My family was there, a lot of other people. But there are people out there that will help. That's why they say stay away from people, places, and things, and different friends. You know, if you want to stop eating bad, you can't hang around certain, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of metaphors, you know what I mean? People aren't stupid. If you want to change, you have to change everything, and then maybe reintegrate.
Yep. And as family members, guys, and I would like you to touch on this. Listen to what I say, and then you give me, you'll close us out. As family members, we can't be upset with our families, fathers, mothers. We can't allow our anger towards them because of their addiction take us to where we don't even help no more. Right. Because we're so mad at you with the choices that you make, we're not even help, and now all we want to do is distance ourselves. Because sometimes distance yourself helps you emotionally, but it doesn't help the person that needs the most help. So I know you have, people that's in your life that has addiction issues, and you have questions about this. So what do you feel like your anger towards them makes you not even want to talk to them, or how did you work past that as you got older?
I'm gonna be honest. The way I work past it is y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I grew up with y'all. Y'all always send me positive messages. Y'all always gave me great advice. And I'm not talking about great advice just with personal things that I'm going through. I'm talking about my family situation. I'm talking from my life. So, like with me talking to my family, I know my family has drug addiction and stuff like that. I'm not even nervous. I'll keep it 100 with my family, and it's not. I'm not afraid to say anything. But the only problem with that is that me being counseled by y'all and me being smart enough for me to know like what they went through and how they are, it kind of makes it hard for them to communicate with me because they're still stuck in denial. For me, they think I'm still mad at them for what they did. Right. But like Jay told me, like y'all told me, like they got to get past that. I don't want nothing from. They gotta let themselves. I don't want nothing but for me just to have a normal conversation. Like it happened in the past. You feel me? Like I'm 19, 20 years old. It's time to talk about the future, you feel me, and stuff like that. So, I'm just thankful to have you all in my life, you feel me, and I want to say something. Don't let the age get in the way, you feel me. I'm like they're older, like don't let the age get in the way, you feel me. Everybody's there to help you in some type of way, form, or fashion, and it's all about listening, you feel me. I'm glad that they like told me things, and I'm glad that they still talk to me and counsel me now, so I don't have to go through what they went through, you feel me. And it's all it's all a generational thing. And to be honest, like generations are starting to get more fearless. Like I feel like we're a fearless generation, you feel me. And everybody that's younger than me is more fearless, you feel me. So I feel like you gotta relay good information because it's only gonna get better. Because people that are born younger, they're not really born into, you feel me, the negatives, you feel me, set like slavery. I don't know if I'm getting off topic.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, like slavery, things like that. So I feel like you need to relay a good message because it's only going to make it better for people in the future, people that's growing up, and they're going to take that information for me more serious because they don't really have any negatives or for me anything in a way.
They don't have that negative stigmatism.
Exactly.
They don't have that to where they already feel guilty just about being who they are.
Exactly.
To be honest, you guys are the generation to lead. But now what you have to have in order to lead is you have to have guidance. Every leader that we know from Malcolm X, Martin Luther, they had somebody above them that guided them.
Correct.
So we have to communicate with the younger generation. We have to take away all of these vices that will kill y'all leadership. You mean that'll kill y'all unity, and then we also have to give y'all information. You mean still let y'all make y'all aware of the past, but allow y'all freedom to guide y'all in the direction where y'all will lead. You understand what I'm saying? So I thank you for being on. Thank you for sharing yourself. I know we talk about stuff that's real touchy, and it's only to help. It's only to help somebody that's going through the same scenario or a different scenario. Guys, thank you for watching No Perspective. This is a show that's for the people, from the people. My name is John. We signing out. Yo, love you.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, man.
Thanks for watching No Perspective. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Follow us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat.